026, behavioral addictions. Behavioral addictions work on the exact same principles as substance addictions. The pleasure or high experienced during an addictive behavior triggers the same neurotransmitters and receptors as an external chemical drug does. Can anyone disagree with the proposal that the pleasure of sex and intimacy can be as intense and powerful as a narcotic? A psychological addictive behavior releases varying quantities of the very same neurochemicals as drugs do, the SDNEs. Remember that drugs trigger existing neurochemicals into action that cause the sensations perceived. They do not create the sensations themselves, they activate them. Both an amphetamine user and a motorcycle riding thrill seeker stimulate the same neurochemical events in their actions. One is activated by behavior, motorcycle riding, and the other by a narcotic, amphetamine. Different formulas for the same mechanisms of action. Like substance addictions, behavioral addictions gain momentum subtly and gradually. Behavioral addictions are more easily dismissed and overlooked since, unlike drugs, there's rarely an addiction stigma pre-assigned to them. A behavioral addiction is easily rationalized as something that can be controlled if it ever gets out of control. Many non-addicts assume that a behavioral addict, e.g. shopaholic, sex addict, etc., can control themselves if they truly want to. Many behavioral addictions are rarely even scrutinized under the addiction lens until they are full-blown. Gambling, sex, shopping, and the like are common features of many people's lifestyles, so they are not easily identified as addictions. A drug or behavior is often used to compensate for deficient or missing internal sensations or feelings such as validation, comfort, or acceptance, which drives the repetitive use. A behavior that compensates for an internal need, emotional or psychological, is at its genesis a rooted and growing addiction. It has an addictive or habitual intention from the beginning, strategically keeping a low pleasure profile to keep you from identifying and possibly nipping it in the bud. Addiction is like a clever chess player anticipating potential future moves against it. Many behavioral addicts are coincidentally immune to the desire for drugs. Non-addicts don't even sample conventional drugs, which adds to a false sense of security regarding the addictive nature of their behaviors. Many behavioral addicts feel falsely empowered and secure because they are not at all attracted to or desirous of drugs or things recognized as addictive. My theory, we are all addicts one way or another. We are all driven by desires and an innate need to feel satisfied, happy, and fulfilled. The best we can do is intelligently be aware of this nature and choose behaviors and involvements that are productive and giving, not self-serving and founded in pleasure only. We're going to examine many of the more common behavioral addictions. It is simply not possible to address the infinite number of behavioral addictions. They can be as obscure as a need to be bathed in urine and smelling doll heads. By covering the more common ones, we will give insight into behavioral addiction mechanics and principles, even though I fully acknowledge that all addictions are unique and cannot be generically categorized. Everyone is encouraged to participate in this entire solution to gain insights into all compulsive behaviors, to assemble the recovery formula for your specific addiction with the nuts, bolts, and raw materials from any and all addictions.